Welcome to the LawyerFair.co.uk daily podcast. LawyerFair helps businesses find the right lawyer at the fairest price. But on this podcast, we just chew the fat with some great guests.
It's the simple pleasures of time with your kid.
It's awesome, isn't it? It completely changes you for the better, that's for sure.
It is awesome indeed. So I do still carve out a couple of hours for the rugby on both Saturday and Sunday, much to the grimace of my wife. But other than that, it was very family led. So listen, I think we're probably recording by now, Charlie. These things are organised by my sidekick Polly, so I don't have much control on this. But I'm talking to Charlie Hutton. Welcome, Charlie.
Thanks, Andrew. Well, great to be here, and thanks for having me on board.
Not at all. This is, for those of you who aren't aware by now, this is the LawyerFair Daily podcast, a business podcast that we record with some great people around the world, in fact. Charlie joins us from West Midlands.
Yeah, we're just north of Birmingham, a small town called Lichfield.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. And listen, I was doing a little bit of prep, because I try and prep these things, Charlie. It often sounds like I haven't, but I do try and do a little bit of prep. And I was just wandering through your LinkedIn, and I thought, well, crikey, there were phrases like legally murdering your competitors, direct response aficionado on steroids. I don't have a silver bullet. I mean, if you be a bit careful, Charlie, because GCHQ are probably listening in on some of this stuff. But Charlie is a serious expert in kind of I hope I've got this right, Charlie, but online lead generation and follow up, essentially, how to turn web traffic into hot leads.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
And the legally murdering reference is brilliant, because I normally have to write the headlines for these podcasts, and that writes for itself. But just give me a little bit of background about where you've come from, really, and what you do.
Well, I mean, background, Andrew. I've been very, very lucky on a couple of things to be in the right place at the right time, and sort of got mentored and mastered in a previous life in a good old fashioned direct response marketing, and using awesome headlines and some of the terminology that you just mentioned there to sort of grab people's throats, I guess, and make them pay attention and sit up and listen. And then being able to, I guess, in the experience and the stuff that I've done, is to be able to take sort of, I guess, the older school direct response marketing principles and apply them to an online media, to do some very, very cool things and help a lot of big corporate companies and a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs do a similar sort of thing as well.
Well, I think the phrase, and I did pick this up off the website, the phrase, how do I turn my web traffic into hot leads, is kind of dynamite, really, isn't it? Because, obviously generating web traffic is a challenge in itself, but you kind of can do it if you've got a reasonable product and service and you've got your online marketing sorted. But how do you transform that into money in the bank is clearly the big question mark, isn't it? I mean, what are the kind of key tricks or the key secrets that you would say that people should start thinking about immediately?
I mean, it's a fairly easy one, that, Andrew. And to call it a secret would be a massive over exaggeration. I mean, this is a thing. I mean, there's no real secrets. The stuff that we're probably talking around, you guys might have heard before, or just not necessarily implemented. It's as simple as having a mechanism for people that are on your website, giving them a reason to, I guess in the initial instance, to just sort of like reach out and leave their contact information, to capture some sort of name and email address from them. We would call it a secondary reason for them to respond, really, a reason for those people that aren't quite ready to buy today, a reason for them to get in contact, so you can start building some sort of trust, some sort of goodwill. They can get to know you, you can get to know them, and ultimately you can sort of start that relationship with them, rather than doing, I guess, which the majority of people do out there, which is trying to hammer people over the head with sales right from the bat, when a lot of people were using the internet to research and look for things. So it's a bit more of a softly approach up front, but one that's very, very effective. So yeah, making sure that you've got a mechanism on your website to capture people's information in that first instance.
Well, I'd like to drill deeper into that, Charlie, because one of the challenges that we face, frankly, at LawyerFair, but I suspect most businesses do, is that shift now, and it actually, funnily enough, bring up GCHQ, is that shift of cynicism about why people want your details.
Yeah.
And also, if they get those details, what they're going to do with it. And I think that the challenge for businesses now is actually to combat that, because you've got to try and capture those people that land and find out who they are and what they're doing and why they may want to use in the future. But of course, it's got to be a subtle online discussion that doesn't put the fear into them that data is going to be wrongly used. I mean, what are some of the things that you think people can consider in making that relationship or that onboarding process as easy as possible?
I think that the key to these sort of things is trying to make sure that you really, I guess, know the visitor of the person that's coming to your website. What's sort of like keeping them up at night, and how can you almost present them with some sort of information that's going to help them solve that problem? Because I think if someone's on your page, or they're on a specific page where you're talking about a problem that they might have, and you can offer a solution to that problem, they're not normally too fussed about giving you their contact information if they believe that you come across as credible and they think you can help them with that thing. I mean, you've probably seen an Andrew when you're visiting websites, you get these pop-ups jump up all over the place. You're reading something, you think, man, this has got nothing to do with what I'm reading, what I'm interested in. And that's when I think that sort of annoyance can sort of jump in, and I guess you can sort of like that cynicism can sort of step into play to a certain extent too.
But if you're suggesting what is keeping them up at night, that means you've got a level of insight as to who these people are. And
I'd agree.
Often businesses haven't, and don't necessarily know who's visiting the site. I mean, are there ways of understanding better who it is that is visiting the site, and therefore what content they might be interested in, and how do you find that information out?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, with some of the tools that are out there online, I mean, even you've got sort of like a simple Google Analytics installed on your website, that they do some awesome things now where you can sort of like track some top level demographics on the people that are on your website, where they're from, what their interests are, and that sort of thing. So you can have a bit of an idea of where these people are coming from and what they're interested in. My biggest port of call normally, Andrew, would be sort of like have a look at your existing customer list. I mean, what are your existing customers? How did they get on board to start with? They probably come through some sort of channel. It might have been a referral or a recommendation, but chances are those are probably the same sort of people that are on your website looking for solutions to the problems that they've probably got at the moment.
I think that's absolutely right. In fact, it's funny how I think it's getting. My sense is people are getting better with working with existing customers, but that old you'll know the stats better than I am sure, Charlie. But the cost and the time it takes to convert a new customer as opposed to looking after an existing one.
Yeah.
But of course, the other issue there you absolutely raised, which is right, is by understanding who the existing customers are, you know who the future ones might be and how to communicate with them.
Yeah.
So I would, would it be right to say, you need to drill into, it's almost kind of creating personas, isn't it, about the people that want to use your service, and those personas therefore allows you to understand, possibly who they are, but possibly where they meet, what magazines or what publications online they read, and that kind of helps you drive the marketing channels as well.
That's it, and I think the big mistake. It's funny actually, Andrew. I was on a coaching call with a client before we had this conversation this morning. And this exact thing came up, and he was having some trouble with a campaign, and we were chatting about the sort of demographic. And I said to him, so the people that we're targeting at the moment, or your customers, would you say they're majority males or the majority females? And he said, Charlie, you know what? I think it's probably a 50-50 split. I said, okay, and funnily enough, Andrew, his name's Andy as well. So I said, Andy, so let's pull this customer list up and let's have a quick look at this data and see who these are. And it turned out we were looking at his current customer list, and 80% of his customers were male, and the other 20% were female. So it's sort of almost going, actually, what you think you might know about your customers is when you actually start looking at these things and drilling into the data, what you probably think you know, and what's actually the truth might be a big gap. So it's trying to make sure that we're basing these decisions on sort of like actual information that we have, rather than sort of like our gut feeling some of the time as well, because a lot of the time we're wrong, or we sort of remember the things we want to remember rather than the truth behind the matter.
Well, data is everything, isn't it, frankly?
Well, that's it, exactly.
And increasingly so. And how you use that data, of course, is what going to make you get you ahead of your competitors more than the other way around. And so, that's brilliant. Now, you're an author and you're doing various things. I mean, just give us a bit of background as to what you are able to offer and what's out there in the market with Charlie Hutton's name on it.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of books, Andrew. The first one I wrote, probably 2 years ago, was called Lead Magnet, and that's 43 proven tactics to help you get more leads and more sales, and that's available on Amazon. I've recently this year launched another one, which is the Small Business Owner's Guide to Making Out Like a Bandit. Again, another catchy title, but that's there again. That's sort of like 7 key strategies, really to help you. Did
you sit with your father and watch kind of Western movies or something?
Oh, I love a good Western. You can't beat a good Western. Spaghetti Westerns. It was my grandfather actually that we used to watch those with. So yeah, I love that sort of thing.
I think I'm the same, which is why I raised it. My father used to make me sit through. And they're always quite ancient Westerns as well. So the special effects weren't there, but I tell you what, there was some good killing going on.
Well, big gunfight, can you, on a Sunday afternoon?
You cannot beat a good gunfight. Tell you what. But listen, that's brilliant. And obviously, there's the website, Charlie, which is charliehutton.co.uk. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that's regularly updated. that's probably the best first port of call for most people. I sort of like write a blog post a day normally that's out on there. So there's lots of good content, lots of good advice, and lots of good help out there for people that are looking to maximise their customer acquisition using the internet.
Well, it's such a crucial thing to get right. And just to be clear, the book, we will leave references at the bottom of our podcast, by the way, about all of these things. But the book is called Lead Magnet, or the most recent one, I think, was called Lead Magnet. Is that right?
Yeah, the older one's Lead Magnet. The most recent one is the Business Owner's Guide to Making Out Like a Bandit.
Got it. Okay, that's brilliant. Well, listen, one thing I would advise is actually when you set up Charlie, I thought we were going to be doing a video with Charlie, but he then lulled me into this false security, and I'm sitting here sitting here on a one-way video cast, being thoroughly inspected for my shaving and my shirt selection.
Thanks for listening to the LawyerFair.co.uk daily podcast. If you'd like to listen to more, why not subscribe and download each episode via iTunes, or visit us on the LawyerFair.co.uk website.